Oh, hey, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. This is the Baco Motorsports Power Hour, brought to you by the Bakersfield, California. I'm Louis Amestoy. Blake Bowser is going to come in here and join us right here on this seat right there. He's right there. Somehow, he is still alive and functioning.
But here I am. Hi.
We got
Well, it is, but now it's 11 to 11:30.
Yeah.
I'm still in some time.
You're going to get some time.
You sound like I do.
Terrible. Terrible. You know, it's interesting. I got to say this. Blake Bowser, Mike Griffith over there.
I'm here. I survived.
Yeah, you survived.
But
men
keep
survive.
that door open right there because my butt's about 5 minutes behind me, so
Okay,
it'll come in a little bit here.
Right, absolutely.
It'll join me right here.
Join right there. Nice. Blake is here after
A marathon weekend.
a truly interesting weekend from a competition standpoint.
Yes.
A great top fuel battle,
Yeah.
a great battle in funny car. We'll talk a little bit more about that here in a second.
Yeah.
Mike was out there. You were out there for all 4 days.
Mike
Yes.
lived it.
Mike
Yes.
lived it.
I lived it. I lived it.
It was interesting when I was driving out Sunday, and it looked like the entire track was encased in rain, and I was
Yeah.
like, how is this going to happen?
Right.
And it was interesting, the shifting weather throughout the whole weekend. You get there, and it's like 75 degrees, and it
Yeah.
was cloudy and nice, and then Sunday at some point it got kind of cold, and
Right.
then it got nice and warm,
Yeah.
and then it rained, and so it was like
Yeah.
everything that happened was interesting over the weekend. Griffith, real quick, let's get through all the other business we got to get to. We got things to talk about. So
We got things to talk about. Isn't this
Show the
like
next slide.
season 3, I think?
this is season 3. You can follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, and on YouTube. We had a big Facebook weekend thanks to the March Meet guys.
Yeah.
We had gained about another couple hundred followers. It's interesting that when we do that, we look at where people are coming from all over the world again, and
Yeah.
then suddenly people discover, oh, well, you have content from last year. So suddenly the video that we had of the Fighting Irish backup girl from last year
Archive stuff. Yeah.
is like going crazy today.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting.
And she was in a new outfit this year, and I'll get some video
That's
loaded
right.
up sometime this week.
Kevin Harvick was at Las Vegas. He was 7th there. What's going on with Harvick there, Mr. Griffith?
He, I did not see that race. Jeez, I was a little busy.
Yeah.
I was just looking at
We were
the
looking at it on
results.
Twitter, I think. That's what
I was
we
just
did.
looking at the results. He led one lap, so obviously the car wasn't quite right. Good
Right.
enough to be a top 10 car, not good enough to be a contender. He goes to Phoenix this week. He wins a lot of Phoenix.
He likes that place.
Likes that place a lot. 23rd place for Casey Mears at Las Vegas.
Yeah, he was a lap down at one point. I was looking like 4th car a lap down, and he got back on the lead lap. I don't know how, but so there you go. He finished on the lead lap.
He's had an interesting start to the season. He's right there where he kind of left off last year, which was pretty good. Ryan Reed was 13th at Las Vegas, 8th in the Xfinity standings right now, and actually had a pretty good performance considering the fact that so many Cup guys were in that particular race in Las Vegas.
Plus, I guess he had an unscheduled pit stop. Car was overheating for debris.
Okay.
So
I think we're going to be able to get Casey Mears in here next week because before they go to Fontana. So because they're Fontana next week, right? Yes, that's right.
between Phoenix and Fontana.
Yeah,
yes.
so we think
Yep.
we'll get Casey Mears to call in next week. Ryan Reed called in yesterday to the First Look with Scott Cox show. That video is on our First Look Facebook page. We'll share that with the Baco Motorsports Power Hour group here as well.
Mr. Harvick is going to be in Bakersfield next week for
Is
his
that right?
foundation
Foundation?
during the same time as the Power Hour. So we have to discuss if we need a different time frame because Mr. Harvick will be over there from basically about 11:30 to 1:15.
Maybe we
1:30.
just
We
do
do
our portable gear and just go over there
Yeah.
and do it. So that'd be fun. All right, Blake is here. We it's interesting. A couple things that one, the survival. Your ability to kind of recover from the fire.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, who aren't paying attention, the fire that knocked out the old control tower,
Right.
which was the luxury suite.
Yeah.
And the fact you guys got that cleaned up and ready to go. And it's interesting because I didn't notice it at first, but your dad was pointing out somebody to somebody else. And by the way, does your dad have the ability to shift time and be in different places in the same place?
Yeah, I think so.
I was thinking of
Yeah.
he would be driving a forklift.
Right.
The next thing I know, he was selling T-shirts.
Yeah.
Or he'd be down at the Midway, and I saw him like 4 times. Like,
Yeah.
where the hell did he come from?
Yeah.
But
It's
anyway,
like Houdini.
yeah, it's
You just
incredible.
kinda-
It's incredible. And Matt's over there going, yeah, I think so. The
Got to watch what you're saying about it because he's right behind you
I know,
sometimes. You're
right?
like, whoa,
Whoa,
I
where
didn't
did
know you were there.
Where did Mr. Bowser come from? So he was pointing out the fire damage that was still left over from, like
To the new
scarring of the new
control tower,
control
yeah.
tower. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
So that was pretty it's intense, to say
was.
at least. But you were
Yeah.
able to get going and get back on it.
Well, yeah, because we had so much to, first we thought, I want to get this rebuilt here pretty quick here, but then we realized how much, obviously, contents were in, how many things were linked, sound, power, our timing, everything linked through that.
Yeah.
It was kind of a hub.
Right.
And then it went to the new tower. We had to replace all that, and everybody jumped in. I mean, CompuLink and Jeff Foster from Las Vegas, who was a former employee of CompuLink, Bird Electric, and Lloyd Moss, he's a really great sound guy here in town.
Right.
Jumped in, and because we lost our PA system, was over
Wow.
there, it was connected. We left it there in my office. So just everything we had to reconnect and reestablish and repurchase. DJ Safety sent us a bunch of fire suits. Just this past weekend from Sonoma Raceway, 3 15-layer fire suits just showed up. And
Wow.
George Disciple, the track manager up there, the drag strip, just sent them down to us. Just said, "Here, you guys can have these."
And
So that's just kind of, we were managing all that and obviously overseeing the cleaning up of the destruction and then the cordoning off and reestablishing everything and oh, by the way, a drag race to put on.
yeah, right. And knowing you, I mean, was there? To me, you have a can-do spirit, obviously. But was there ever any moment where like we can't do this? Was there any doubt? Or
No, there wasn't. Certainly when you show up, you think, "Holy smokes, how are we going to overcome this?"
Yeah.
But when the phone calls start coming less than 2 hours later,
Right.
and the material, the products material start rolling in the next day, basically,
Right.
you realize, that you can do this along with everybody else helping. You can't do it by yourself. There's
Okay.
no way. If him and I tried it, my dad I'm talking about just by ourselves, there's no way we
Right.
can do this in the world. But
Right.
it's the support we got and everybody jumping in, wanting to help, and that made it possible.
And the amazing thing, the thing I worried about all weekend was the weather.
Yeah.
And there was the moments there. You had the jet dryer
Right.
from where was
Salt
it?
Lake City,
came out.
Rocky Mountain Raceway.
We were
yeah.
next to that
Big
guy,
thanks
weren't
to
we?
those
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, Ron
Yeah.
Kraft.
Ron
That guy's
Kraft
dog just showed up in your trailer at one point. It was kind of funny.
Yeah, Ron and Jane Kraft. Ron's the drag strip manager. Then Mike Ames was there. He's the general manager for the whole facility.
Yeah.
Spent all weekend there.
That's great.
Helping Ron operate the jet, announcing, helping us process tech cards. Just that's what we do when we go to their track. So we do when we go to the news track. We all just
Help
just
out.
do this for each
Right,
other. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So
But they went above and beyond this year.
That's
for sure.
amazing. But so you were probably a little nervous with the weather, but it turned out to be actually great conditions. It was very comfortable the whole time. I mean, it wasn't, it rained a
Racing
little bit.
conditions were great.
Racing conditions were fantastic.
Yeah, we took a hit on our walk up. Our walk up for the 4 days was down about 40%.
Wow.
Overall, the event is down 20. Our pre-sales are so strong, typically in the past, because people are vying for those parking spots.
Yeah.
And there's benefits to buying early.
Yeah.
There's a price break, so that helps our pre-sales. So, we come into the event a bit insulated from risk, but when your walk-up's down that much, it
hurts.
it takes a hit.
That hurts.
Yeah, you take a hit. So between our off-season destruction and that,
Yeah,
we're starting the year off a little slow this year.
And I wanted to ask you about this, Griffith, too. It's interesting that in this world of negativity and social media, we don't get a lot of complaints on our Facebook page. The only one that haters are going to hate, that's
Yeah.
the number one thing. But the only complaint I saw that was interesting I wanted to ask you about was that in Funny Car, a comment was made, and there was some agreement about it, was that the cars now are too fast. And I thought that was really interesting because what did Crable ran 262 or 265
Yeah.
at one point,
Yeah.
and one of the comments was that's just too fast
Yeah.
for nostalgia.
Yeah.
How do you address that? Is that true or not true?
Well, if you look at, there's two ways to look at it. If you look at it as far as evolution of any class,
Yeah.
that's just going to happen.
Right.
So there's no way that you can avoid that. I mean, that's just the drag racer, what they
Right.
want to do. They want to go quicker and faster every time, or they want to go, on their index dead on every time, and they'll do whatever it takes to get to that point. Secondly, if you look at it from what's happened to front motor top fuel, then that concerns me.
Right.
It does, because at some point you get to the point where only a select few can afford to do it.
Right.
I mean, how quick can you go? How fast can you go? But that's all determined by budget.
Right.
So that's the scary part.
Mike,
is when do we have to say, okay, hang on a second, we
Right.
are going too quick and too fast?
Yeah.
But with the upsets we saw in Top Fuel, I don't know if we're there because anybody could have won that race.
It was interesting because I felt
so-
like just from being on where I was at on the tower, from the VIPs that were there was so much enthusiasm for that Top Fuel final because number one, Tony Bartone wasn't in the final.
Right.
Bill Dunlap wasn't in the final.
Right.
Sorokin was sort of a fan favorite, or we are
Kind of
biased
sentimental
towards him.
favorite there because of
right?
the 50-year
reunion.
Yeah.
Or anniversary of his
Right.
dad's win.
Exactly.
But Rick Williamson runs a spectacular race,
Yeah.
and Sorokin could keep the car. He only had like one really great run the whole weekend, I guess.
Kept launching
Kept
the car
launching
in the air.
it, which we have video
yeah.
of, by the way.
Yeah.
So it was kind of the competition side was really, really great, but it does concern you though that
Because the car count is we were forced to go to an 8-car show this year for Top Fuel, so
Yeah.
I don't want to get there for funny car, and we won't. What I will do personally for the March meet, we'll implement a second class for funny car. You have a choice. You can go here and be in the unlimited class,
Right.
like Chris Crable is, and like a few other guys are, Dan Horan and Ryan Hodgson. Those guys they have budgets to back up their
Because
numbers.
Horan's car comes out and looks like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not quite a modern funny car, but
Right.
it looks very close to a modern funny car. The
Yeah.
aerodynamics and everything.
Right,
Griffith,
he
do
got
you have a
one of
thought
the
on
new
that?
bodies. So yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot of controversy on message boards between old school and new school.
Right.
It's just, I think, part of the evolution, and some people don't like it, some people like it. I don't think
Right.
the general paying fans really care one way or another. I think it's people who are closer to the sport
Right.
making all the noise. I think the person plopping down the $30 or whatever, 20 to
Yeah.
go see a day of racing, they just want to see good nitro racing at an
Right.
affordable price.
Yeah. All right, we'll take
Yeah,
a quick
yeah.
break. We have a whole slew. We have all the winners. We can show all that. We have tons of photos. We have video. We're going to get right back after these messages. We'll be right back here on the Baker Motorsports Power Hour.